Robert Plank Show episode 49, Continuity Membership Sites. How to get that $97 per month passive income site off the ground and making money. Welcome back to the Robert Plank Show, where we talk about membership sites, webinars, email marketing, list building, internet marketing, and making money from home. I'm your host, Robert Plank. We're going to talk today about this thing called membership sites, which means that you have something for sale, for sale, and usually we're talking about like a course, what we call a product or a solution to a problem, where, for example, someone wants to know how to get a book published on Amazon. Now, there's a couple ways to solve that problem, right? You could take them by the hand and show them, but that doesn't really work out too well because there's only one of you. You could write a report or an ebook, and that's, I guess, okay, but there's a couple of problems with that. First one is that how much is a report worth or an ebook worth? Even if it's written, even if it has screenshots and pictures, it's worth about $10. And even if you went to all the trouble of publishing something on Kindle or CreateSpace, well, how much is a Kindle book worth? 99 cents. Well, how much is a book worth that you went to the trouble of making the book outline and getting a book agent and marketing it to other book publishers, and finally a book publisher says okay, and they want all these changes and they want to look over your shoulder every step of the way, and then 2 years later, congratulations, now you got a book that you can sell for $10, and after all the money spent, you only get $1 per copy sold, and congratulations, you had to wait 2 years of not making money just to make maybe $10,000 if you're lucky. So that doesn't really work, especially if you want to make money right away. And the other thing too is, who wants to read a dang book in order to figure out how to get something online, right? How to get a book published, or how to get a podcast published, or how to build up an email list, or how to get traffic. I mean, sure, we'll all buy 99-cent Kindle books, but wouldn't it be more helpful if you showed someone in video how to do it? And when I say in video, I don't mean pointing a camera at your face. I'm saying basically pointing a camera at the computer monitor screen, and we use a software tool called Camtasia Recorder to do that, to record things on the screen where we can show people how to run a webinar, how to build a list. When I got started, I taught people how to edit things on their web pages and add these things called PHP scripts or WordPress plugins. Or you can have a video course on how to write a sales letter, or how to make money with affiliate marketing, or eBay, or Craigslist, or stock trading. There's tons of things where you can get away with just showing what's on your computer screen. And if you think about it, if you record a series of videos solving someone's problem, well, now it's easy to justify charging $100, $200, or $1,000 for that course that brings them from start to finish. And so a lot of people get stuck in, I don't know, like the bragging mindset or the startup mindset. And this seems to happen more and more often when I go to something called a live event, like a conference in our industry, and like when it comes time to chit chat and talk to people, eventually it'll turn into the numbers game, where one guy says, oh yeah, I just made $100,000 yesterday, or some guy says, I'm on track to make $300,000 this month. Well, what the heck does that even mean? On track to make $300K this month? Well, how about you make the $300K and then you tell me that you had a $300K month? And then it gets really scary because someone says, oh yeah, we just had a $2 million month, and talk and talk and talk. And then you talk to them a little bit, and it turns out, oh, well, they just have a coaching client who themselves, there's a big business that made $2 million last month. And so now it's like you're taking credit, and they're paying you like $1,000 this month. You just made $1,000 this month, but you're claiming someone else's income as your own. It's a really scary place to be. And a lot of people, they don't want to go through the middle growing pains. And I'm here to tell you that, well, there are going to be growing pains. And what I can help you do is shorten the length of time the growing pains has to take. But so many people, when we meet with them, they say, well, my goal is to make $100,000 a month. Well, it's a great goal, but how are you going to get there? And they have no idea. And an easier way, well, first of all, if your goal is to make $100K a month, how about you say, in a year, that's my goal. But for the next couple months, my goal is to make maybe $10K, and for this month to make just $1K. All right, $1K a month if you're starting from scratch is just fine. And I mean, there's a lot of people who maybe their pension fund's been obliterated, and they don't want to have to start over, or I guess, scary thought, learn a couple things to rebuild that. or they're real young and they just want to be the misunderstood genius, the Mark Zuckerberg, and they want to skip college and just go straight to being a millionaire. Well, that's kind of a scary place too. Or they're maybe middle aged and they have an existing job and they just want to quit the job entirely and then jump onto this new startup thing. And I mean, it always sounds really glamorous, right? That they had an idea, drew it out on paper, and then made a 99-cent app, and suddenly it sold 2 million copies. And they didn't have to hardly do anything. Well, that's not really the way it always works. A lot of these guys, especially the ones that so called blew up overnight, maybe they had 10 or 20 apps, and some of those apps didn't do great, or cost them much of money, or they had to fight someone because someone else tried to steal the app from them, or they got 20 different copies of it overnight, different competitors and things like that. And so there's all these obstacles that people won't tell you. And I mean, a lot of people, they just want to basically win the lottery and get bought out, or get venture capital funding, which means that basically now it's your job to spend someone's money and waste as much money as possible and build a big list of customers. And that's all really scary. And I don't know anything about that. I just know about making some money now, getting to 10K or 100K a month now over time by doing these things called selling information products that solve problems. And you can make a lot more money from a video based course than you can from a written report or from a Kindle book or anything like that. And so when you have these different things like this video course to get someone from start to finish, it's a lot easier to manage that when you put it inside what's called a membership site, okay? And when people talk about membership sites, the one thing that always comes up is they say, well, I've always wanted to have a membership site, but I just don't know what I can sell for $100 a month over and over again. I don't know how well you know me. I'm Robert Plank, internet marketer, and I really don't like that mindset. When I talk about a membership site, I don't necessarily mean that you're making a site where someone pays you money month after month after month. A membership site is a site where someone can become a member of yours. And that means that Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, eBay, Craigslist, all these sites are membership sites because what happens? You sign up for free and you get an account where you can then log in again and again and again. If you buy a piece of software from Adobe or from Microsoft, they make you register an account with their website. And what you can do is you can log back in and you can always grab that copy of Adobe Photoshop you bought 5 years ago or Microsoft Office you bought 10 years ago, and you always can just get back to the thing you bought. So you can have this thing called a membership site. It can be something that's free. It can be something that someone paid one time for, or it can be something that someone paid multiple times for. For example, on a payment plan, they buy your course on how to make a podcast, and over time they pay one small payment per month for 5 months. And then we can have the kind of membership site everyone talks about and wants, where people pay you month after month after month after month. $10 a month, $100 a month, things like that. So that's what people want. And so there's kind of two mindsets, and one's good and one is bad. The good mindset, if someone says I want to make, let's just say 5,000 a month, okay, that's kind of like a middle of the road kind of income, and that's above average. That's more than most people make, and that's well above the poverty line and stuff like that. So $5,000 a month sounds like a really scary thing, but if you break it down into how many $97 sales you'd have to make, or just to make it simple, $100 to make the math simple, you'd only have to sell 50. So that would be just about 2 sales a day. So you make your little course on how to make money from affiliate programs, how to trade the stock market, whatever. Well, you just have to find 2 people every day who want to trade in the stock market. And the way you do that is doing all these things that we call an income machine, where you build a list, you have traffic, you run ads, you have blog posts for search engine optimization, you put out podcast episodes, but you bring people to your site, you build your list, and then your list tells them these offers and things to buy. So pretty simple if you've done it. If you haven't done it, if you're still in that learning and research mode, then it's really easy to get distracted because there's no priority to anything. There's no importance, right? If you're too afraid of taking that first step of setting up an opt-in page or putting a payment button online, well then anything new sounds like it's just as important. So registering a LinkedIn account sounds just as important as putting a buy button on a web page. And so you only know by you only figure out what's important and what's not by actually setting these things up. I don't want to use like a cliche phrase like fail fast, but basically that's what you got to do. Have these experiments and put out different kinds of websites and do them quickly so you get them all finished before you get bored or distracted, and then you'll figure out what's making money and what's not. And so what's really scary are these people who they live in the theory land, right? So a good mindset, like we said, is if you want to make 5K a month, is to get thinking in, if I sell something for $97, I just have to sell 50 or 51 copies of that every month. So that's, now I'm kind of breaking the problem down. Now it's doable, because now if I know 2 sales a day, well then now I can think, okay, well, I need to have, if I want to make 2 sales a day and I'm going to have a sales data that converts at 2%, I need to get about 100 clicks new people actually every day to my web pages. So now how do I get 100 clicks? Well, if I get this number of clicks from Facebook ads, this number of clicks from AdWords ads, this number of clicks from solo ads, this number of clicks from SEO, this number of clicks from my list, now it's pretty easy because I only need to make, 10 clicks from Facebook, 10 clicks from Google, and it's pretty easy to make your 100 clicks every day. And then I don't want to get too far off on a tangent, but once you run these different advertising sources, you can make it even more a better bang for your buck, because you can say, well, I've run all these different clicks and the Facebook ads just aren't paying off, so I'm going to ditch that. But the retargeting ads are actually paying off, so I'm going to do more of that. So you need to make this thing called a membership site, and that's the name of the game. Is you bring traffic to your site, you build a list, you present them with your offers. And so when you have a thing called a membership site, well, you can have just a single payment site where someone just pays one time. And if you want to bump up your income, well, then what you do is you just increase that number. You edit that number from 97 to 197 and pile in more things that can justify the 197. So I want you to do a quick exercise here with me, is take a piece of paper and write down the number $997, a $1,000 course. And I'm hoping that you've chosen a niche. So look, for example, if your niche was, let me just say, real estate. So what would, if you sold a $997 package on real estate, what would that contain? And I'm not asking for you to say, well, 200 videos, well, 300 pages, well, 40 hours of instruction. That's just clutter. That's just a big box of crap. We want to say, what would we put in that $997 package to justify the value, the result they get out of that? Okay, so that means if you can show someone from start to finish how to get the real estate license, how to flip a property, how to buy and hold and rent a property, how to do, I don't know what else is there to do in real estate, but if you showed someone all the ins and outs, and that would shortcut them the effort of taking some other real estate class, or would show them that, once they get the real estate license, where the best bang for their buck is, or show them a bunch of case studies, or if even as part of this $997 course, the point A to point B. So the point A is they don't know anything about real estate, and the point B is they now have their realtor's license in whatever state they're doing real estate in. They know how to flip. They know how to buy and rent. They know how to do all these, foreclosure, short sale kind of things. And then even better, now you have a, checklist and templates for them, so now they know how to actually apply that. And on top of that, well, now it's all in, you can present it, give it to them all in, video format, so they can all go at their own pace, and give them, assignments or challenges or homework or whatever you want to call it. So after each module, they know exactly what they need to do. To sweeten the deal a little bit, you could burn those videos on the DVD discs and then get the video transcribed, get it edited, and then use a service called Lulu to also ship a printed manual. And you can say, well, when you join now, you also get access to our next 6 monthly group calls. So for the next 6 months, we're going to meet. I'm going to answer all your questions. I'll go through whatever case studies of what I'm doing now in real estate, so people can actually see what you're doing all the time. You can throw in your swipe file. So if you say, well, you're from when you're buying and selling homes, like everything from your newspaper ads, your for sale signs, your whatever kind of like rental agreements or kind of things, or whatever, extra paperwork you actually use in your own real estate business, they can now just use those tools and they don't have to reinvent the wheel from scratch. So all those things, you can easily justify 997, especially And by the way, here's a really cool thing is if you're ever worried about the price you charge, look at your competitors and most of them are charging way higher than you're planning on. So that should be enough to get you angry enough to get your butt in motion. And you don't want to compete on price. You don't want to be the Kmart of your competitors. You want to be at their price point or higher if you can help it, or at least just match them. So I mean, in the real estate niche, 997 is actually a low price point. Same thing with things like stock trading. And the problem a lot of us fall into is we get stuck in internet marketing land, right? We get stuck in teaching internet marketing to other internet marketers when we ourselves don't do internet marketing. So it's all just like the blind leading the blind and people just copying each other, and that's no fun at all. So what you want to do is be in a niche where there's lots of eager and hungry and wealthy buyers and ready to pay you money. So we have this thing called a membership site. Okay, and so like I said, figuring out what your monthly income goal is and dividing it by the price point you want to sell so that you know how many copies you need to sell really helped me. So now I know what's a realistic number that I can hit. But the bad mindset to be in are the ones that say, well, I just want to make 100K a month. And they don't really have any plan at all in how to actually get to that amount of money. And anything less than that is just a total failure. If they made 10K a month this month, well, then they failed because they only hit 10% of their goal. If you're making $100 this month, you're already ahead of most internet marketers. Most internet marketers are making $0 a month. They're losing money because they keep buying things and never actually implementing them. But that's a whole nother cliche right there. So when it comes to membership sites, a lot of people want to skip that middle growing pains area. And what I'm here to tell you is craft something that's $1,000. And once you have something that's at that price point, then you can have fun by breaking it down into payments. Okay, so what we have for that $997 membership site, that's called a one-time membership site, right? Where they pay you one single payment and now they just have access to that thing forever. And you don't have to pile in more stuff every month. It's just there's a membership site, there's a course that gets them from point A to point B, and everyone else charges this much or higher or like right around that area of the price point. They pay you money, they get access. And then what becomes cool is then you can mess around and say, well, how would we break down that $997 price point into monthly payments? And I mean, you could get really crazy and thinking about trial offers and about weekly payment and things like that. Just keep it simple and make it a monthly payment. So if you were to take that $997 course and make it 4 payments of $250, now that opens you up to people who maybe don't have that much money to get started. And now it's a really cool, place to be, because now you can say, well, all it takes is $250 down today. Or if you can say, what is this? 997 divided by 6 months is 166, or 997 divided by 8 months is 124. So what if you said, all right, well, I'm going to charge $125 every 30 days for 8 months. So you buy the course and you get access to everything up front. And if you cancel at any point, you lose access. But if you make all your payments, once you make payment number 8, then now you're in the course forever. And so what you want to do also, I mean, the other thing about membership sites is I don't do drip content that much anymore. And if you want drip content, we have a plugin called wpdrip.com. That's wpdrip.com, and we actually have a whole entire course on membership sites called membershipcube.com, which includes WP Drip. But what you can do potentially is have them pay you money and they get what I call a starter kit. So they get the first week or two worth of stuff for them to go through, and then every couple days drip out a new post or module or bonus or something to keep them entertained. And that's something I used to do a lot, but now I just keep it simple and I just say if you pay all up front or you pay on the payment plan, pay in payments, either way you get all the content up front, and if you cancel you lose it. And what I like to do is I like to put in a couple of dripped bonuses like monthly question and answer calls, or even software or templates that they really log in every week to use. And if they make a payment or two and cancel, they will miss those templates and tools and software that will stop working when they stop making the payments. So you can do that thing called a payment plan or a fixed term site where you have a high ticket item and you split it up into easy monthly payments, kind of like when you go to buy a car. It's a $30,000, $40,000 car, but once they break it down into payments, it's $200 a month or something like that. Now it's a lot more sexy for that kind of person. And what I also like to do is give people a choice, or have what we call a sales letter, and you can see what a sales letter looks like by going to membershipcube.com, and it shows what they're going to get out of your membership site, lists all the things, and then this is important too, side by side buttons. Not one on top of another, but side by side buttons. One button where they can pay it all up front. Some people like that. The other where there's a payment plan, and I like to make the payment plan as close to zero interest as possible. So like we said earlier, we said we have a $997 membership site divided by 8 months, comes out to 124.625. Round that up to 125 times 8, which ends up being 125 times 8, exactly $1,000. So they pay an extra $3 for that, stretching it out 8 months. So that way they don't have another obstacle. They don't say, well, what's the interest rate if I pay the payment plan, or what if I pay it up front? It doesn't matter. They can either pay it all up front or in spaced out payments. So I really like to start off with something big and then cut it up into pieces, because what you hear a lot of people say is, well, just make a site that's $5 a month and just throw in one piece of content per week, write an article, record an audio, or have an interview, or have little things like that, and people will just pay $5 a month, and because it's an under $10 payment, they just won't notice it on their credit card bill, so they can just pile on in, and then you can hide, and you'd all stay in paying you forever. Well, sounds good, but there's a couple things I really don't like about that. Okay, so someone says for you to pay you $5 a month. Well, the problem is the way that most payment processors work is they'll charge a flat amount plus a percentage. So, I want to say, and don't quote me on this, but I think PayPal says something like $1 plus 7.5% or something of your $5. So they're already taking about a third of your money. So beforehand, if you charge, $1,000, they might take, $10 or $15 out of the fee. But now if you're charging $5, you're only getting about $2 or $3 out of that. The other problem is if you later on want to have what's called an affiliate program or a referral program, who's going to promote you for a measly $1 or $2? Makes no sense. And a lot of people say, well, it's fine because they'll just join at $5 a month and they'll stay in for 4 or 5 years. Well, why would they? If they're not logging in. The other thing too is the same people who tell you to charge $5 a month, they tell you this quote. And here's the other thing of internet marketers who don't actually do things; they just hear things and repeat them. They say, well, the industry standard is $3 a month retention. So when someone joins your site, you can expect them to stay in for 3 months and then quit. And I'm thinking, so you're telling me to charge $5 a month, and someone's only going to stay in for 3 months. So you're telling me to charge them $15, so why don't I just charge $15 and get it over with? Or why don't I charge them $50 a month, and that way I get $150 once they quit? But I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I mean, even if you think about that 3-month average retention, or that most credit cards have a 3-year length of expiration. Right? Like you get a new credit card, if you get it in 2019, then the expiration date on your credit card is going to say 2022. So you figure the average person has about a year and a half remaining on their credit card before it expires. They get a new one, and then, well, now you're going to have to get their new card details to rebill them again. So there's no way that they're going to stay in for very much longer without noticing that the payments are hitting again and again. So what we still want to solve this problem, because we said, well, we can have a high ticket item and cut it up into payments, and that's cool. And actually, you know what too? The cool thing about that payment plan thing is that if you have a clear point A to point B, well, it solves a lot of your problems. You're never scrambling for new content. The sales letter is easy to write because you say, you want to solve this problem, here's the problem solved, and then they're getting closer and closer to the end. So if someone, let's say on that 8-month payment plan, let's say they made half their payments, they're at 4 months now, well then they only need 4 more payments to go. Or if they've got 1 or 2 payments left, they're almost done. And then at that point, it becomes a matter of, well, do I want to quit now and lose access to all of it, or make those last couple of payments and then now I still have access to that whole course? So you say, well, the average person stays in for 3 months. Well, then why don't you make your payment plan 3 months or make it 4 or 5 months? So once they hit 3 months, they say, I'm almost at the end. I'll just pay those remaining 5 months. And then, so the thing is, when you're trying to make a site, we charge a monthly fee, month after month after month. Well, let's think about a couple of sites that do this. So one is called lynda.com, Lynda with a Y, and they're like I think a $25 a month site, and they basically have video tutorials on literally everything: Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Microsoft Word. Like every kind of piece of software is documented all in this. And most people I know who buy this into the site called lynda.com, they buy in for 1 month to get whatever training they would have paid $25 for anyway, watch the training, and then they quit. Okay? So other places that charge monthly are like your phone company, your power and water. Well, the thing about those is that you need those things, right? You can't live without water. You can't really live without electricity or a cell phone bill. And then there's sites like Netflix, which really lucked out. Okay, so the thing with Netflix is that they have all these things that you can't get anywhere else, and it's pretty much combining the cost of other things all together that you would have paid anyway. So like remember Blockbuster, remember old video stores? You'd go to the video store, you'd pay, I don't know, $5 or $7 to rent a VHS tape, and you'd have to remember to bring it back in a couple of days, and you usually would forget, and then you'd have to pay a couple of dollars in late fees and maybe another fee because you forgot to rewind the tape. Kids these days don't know how tough we had it. But so the thing about Netflix, and a lot of people too, like they watch things on Netflix that they can't get on their normal cable service and things like that. So Netflix, and I think for like $7 or $10 a month, now you have access to unlimited TV shows and movies and things. So that's pretty much a no-brainer. And they have that proprietary thing. They bought all these rights to movies and things that you couldn't get anywhere else anyway. So the internet marketing equivalent of that is what we call a resale rights club. Okay, so there are these things online. I know this is a tangent, but there is a thing called resale rights, where basically if someone says, well, I am selling a course on how to run your own webinar, and it's this number of videos, and it's got the sales in this package, and someone can say, well, for $20, you can buy this plus the rights to sell it to others. And so what a lot of these people do is they'll just buy all these resale rights packs and then put it in a membership site, and then you basically say, okay, well, now for $10 a month you get access to 2,000 different businesses in a box, and they all contain courses and videos and things where you can literally plop in a sales letter, put a button on it, and sell this exact course on webinars. You can also sell this other course on affiliate marketing. You can sell this other course on eBay. So potentially you can make a resale rights club just by doing what Netflix does and buying up other things that you're allowed to resell and just bundle it together in such a way that people would have paid this money anyway, but now they'll pay you less money month after month. And so this is kind of the strategy that we have in our continuity membership sites. Continuity membership site means you charge someone month after month after month, and they just keep paying forever. Okay, so it's not like a single payment, it's not like a free, it's not like a payment plan where they make 8 payments or 5 payments and they're done. They pay month after month after month. So a really cool site that we run is called doubleagentmarketing.com. And at the time of recording this, I believe it's a $47 a month site. What we did was we launched it at $17 a month, and we had the first wave of members, and we said it includes all this cool stuff up front. It includes all these resale rights, it includes all these training materials for all the other courses you would have bought anyway that we created. And then once you join the site, we meet once a month in what we call a group Q&A, or a group question and answer call. And so we promoted that for a couple months at $17 a month, and then we said now we're increasing the price to $27 a month. If you bought at $17 a month, you can stay in and keep paying that forever unless you quit. And if you quit, you got to rejoin later, then you have to pay at the higher price. We walked the price up from 17, 27, 37, and 47, and then now that's still the course. And so for $47 at doubleagentmarketing.com, you can get access to a bunch of different courses we have and things like that. and you can get access to our monthly training calls. And basically there's backlogs of years and years you can go back to seeing what we're doing in our business, where people are stuck, where you might be stuck, and you can meet with us live once a month just by joining the site. And then the next time a meeting comes up, you just submit your question. Whether you can't make it live, you can email it into us, or you can make it live, you can ask it live on the call. And so that's called a question and answer site, where we just meet month after month. And there's a couple of important things here, and the biggest one is that there's a starter kit. Someone joins, and even if they don't plan on asking questions, they don't even know like when the next question and answer session is, they join and they get access to all this stuff all up front. And so some people might join just to get the training on how to publish with Amazon Kindle, or how to publish with a site called Kunaki, or with Lulu, or things like that. And so we have filled this members area with a lot of, I guess, mini courses that didn't really fit in anywhere else. And then to do this group question and answer call, it's really simple. By the way, in Membership Queue, we show the question and answer monthly model, where basically we use a service called GoToWebinar, and we can set what's called a recurring webinar. So we can go, and basically webinar is where you have a live training session, and people can click on a link and register and attend. And when they attend, it could be hundreds or thousands of people seeing your screen and hearing your voice live right there on the spot. And what they can do is they register, and you pick the time and the date, and you can just set this recurring webinar to be like every first Thursday of the month at 12 p.m. Eastern Time to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And so what you do is you set this up, and I also like to also plop it in my Google Calendar. That way I get a reminder whenever this happens. And then what you do is you add the registration link in that members area, so people can register for the very next call, and then they can then submit questions. You have a link for them just to shoot you a quick email with their question. I mean, it could be a question, or a PowerPoint presentation they're going to be showing, or a URL for like a website, or whatever it is. I mean, everyone can submit whatever question they want, and you give them the answer to that. So then on the appointed time and date, your calendar appointment goes off, and you start the webinar. Everyone else has already registered for this, and they all come and attend, and you show your screen, and we use a tool called Camtasia Recorder to record your screen and record your voice, and maybe record anyone else on the call, so that you can have a recording. Now, what's really important about this is, I mean, in these monthly Q&A calls, sometimes we'll have like co-hosts or guest presenters and things like that, but we control the questions that come in. So people can submit questions in text form, because, I mean, just kind of as a little aside, every time I've done a call like this, if I've unmuted people or had them call in, people just can't get to the point, or it's just kind of like, it's a real hassle, as opposed to just compress what you were going to ask into a couple sentences, put it on there, and I'll show it for you. All right. And then even if it's like, here's my sales letter, what should I fix? I'll just go in there and do it. And so we'll record this live training session, and we'll make it about an hour. And here's another thing too, is even if no one has questions, we still have a little something prepared as far as what's been working well in our business for the past 30 days, and showing some real case studies there. And so we'll record the whole thing, and then the same day, process the recording and plop it on in the members area. And the cool thing about you being a member of Membership Cube is it includes a plugin called Video Player, where you can easily add the videos right there in your membership site. And so what happens is people join for the starter kit, for all this cool stuff, and then if they want to have this extra attention, well, they can literally submit 10, and some people have. They've submitted 10 questions, and we just gone down the list right there, and they've gotten everything they wanted out of us and more. And I mean, I've even joined a lot of sites like these where if there was some other person online, like some other internet marketer, who got to the point already where I wanted to be, whether that was having some kind of a software as a service, or running live events, or having a membership site with X number of members, I would join their site so I could get as close to their level and get their sequence, figure out how they did it so that I could duplicate it as well. So you just show up, you run this 1 hour per month call, you record it, you plop it in there. Now, a couple cool things happen here is that, so there's a thing that I've taught in other podcasts called 1-4-15-80, and that basically means that The bottom 80% of your list will buy all the low ticket stuff. The 15% of your list will probably buy things that you have like mid ticket, like up to $100, or things you have on a payment plan. 4% of your subscribers will buy the high ticket stuff, and 1% of your subscribers will probably buy everything. So when it comes to this kind of thing, if you run a $47 a month or a $97 a month question and answer kind of site like this, where there's a starter kit and you meet once a month, you're going to get about 1% of your list to join it. And so what that means is, if you have, let's say your list is only 1,000 subscribers, you'll get about 10 paying members. And what a lot of people do is they say, oh man, that sucks. I've only got 10 paying members in this site. Well, does it suck? Because if you think about it, you made a site where it's $97 a month and you had 10 members, so you're making $1,000 out of your monthly income just for 1 hour of showing up. Now, what kind of profession is there where you make $1,000 an hour? Hardly ever. And so that's the cool thing about the question and answer site, is that even if you only have a handful of your members, even if there's like your top 1% of your members, even if it's only a few $100 or a few $1,000 a month, it's 1 hour out of every month. And that 1%, they're hardly ever going to cancel as long as you keep delivering what it is you've been delivering. And so that leads me to the other case study, which is called Webinar Crusher. And so this kind of takes the Q&A model and adds a service. So if you can have a Q&A site plus some kind of a service that they don't want to shut off, okay? Because you can teach content, right? Or you can solve people's problems. Or you can listen to people's questions. But if you can bundle that with an actual tool that they'll always use day after day, then they won't want to cancel. And so that might mean, like if you're teaching, I don't know, like if you have like your real estate Q&A site, for example. Well, what if you bundled with that some kind of a web hosting or some kind of a thing where you even use your own web hosting and set them up with their own WordPress website, and they can log in, and all they could do was mess around with that WordPress site, and they can't, upload files or mess around too much. But part of your monthly site includes not just your real estate course, but also your question and answer sessions, and you hosted their site for them. What's cool about this is that they won't ever want to cancel that monthly site, that monthly membership, because they will lose their website. So we have a course called Webinar Crusher. And this is similar to our double agent marketing site, where someone joins the site and they get access to what we call the starter kit, which is everything you need to know about running webinars. How to use them as 20-minute affiliate bonuses, how to use a webinar to create a low ticket product, how to use webinars to run a payment plan kind of a course where you can charge $997, and then even how to pitch a course on a live webinar, and how to even run one of these monthly Q&A kind of sites. So Webinar Crusher includes all that cool stuff. So that's the starter kit, and then we meet with them once per month to talk about what's been working well with us with webinars and what they need help with webinars. And I mean, with webinars in particular, people are always worried about things like the technology, or what about this extra bright shiny object, or about confidence or whatever. So there's always new things to be talking about with webinars, whether it's someone's problem or what's been working well with us in the past 30 days. And even if you're out of material there, go back to the fundamentals that you see most people messing up with webinars. So what makes us really stick is that Webinar Crusher, at the time that we're recording this, so I can't promise this if you're listening to this podcast 10 years in the future, but Webinar Crusher comes with a GoToWebinar account. And that means that most people running webinars would go to a service called GoToWebinar and get an account with them that they would pay someone else monthly for anyway. And what we've done, without giving away too much, is we've actually bought a ton of GoToWebinar accounts, and so we actually get them at a discount, and then we bundle that webinar account in for you. So you actually pay less than you'd pay GoToWebinar as part of our Webinar Crusher class. At the moment, for $97 a month, you get the webinar starter kit plus the monthly Q&A calls plus GoToWebinar, and normally that 500 seat account I think is like $399 with GoToWebinar. So I mean, it's a no-brainer. So it's kind of like the Netflix model, combined with the Linda model, where there's this stuff that you would have bought anyway, so we're kind of bundling it all in one place. So you join it, and it's better than just buying the GoToWebinar service, because we give you, all this extra training and stuff like that, and we give you all this extra hand holding, but you also want to stay in it because, well, if you ever get stuck, you can meet with us, and it's kind of like the service itself, plus we're holding your hand along with you. So if you want to have that $97 a month passive income site, a couple things about that. First of all, it's a lot easier if you don't have any kind of membership site to make a single payment site. To make a $100 site, I think that's a great place to start. You finish that one up, make a $1,000 site, make that the Mac Daddy of real estate or of stock trading sites, and then you can break that up into payment plans. So then that way you can get the the people with lesser budgets. And then once you have that, if you're looking for a little extra income, there's always going to be that top 1% of your list that's going to buy everything. So a continuity site, I'm sorry if this isn't what you wanted to hear, a continuity site should probably be the third membership site you create. The first one should be the low ticket one, the second should be the high ticket one, and the third one now is just that monthly question and answer model, where they join, they get a starter kit kind of deal, where they have something to go through the next couple of weeks, and then you meet with them once per month in a group setting, where they can submit any question that they want. And if they don't have questions, you can talk about what you've been doing. And if you haven't been doing anything this month, well, then you can just go back to the fundamentals about what they all need to know and be reminded of. And that way, even if you only have 10 or 20 or 100 people, that's still a very healthy income just for 1 hour out of your schedule. So, I mean, think about that. Do you have a low ticket membership site yet? That's single payment. If not, set that up. Do you have a high ticket membership site? No, set that up. Have you broken down that high ticket site that gets them from point A to point B, solves a real problem in their real estate or stock trading career, where now they can either join full price or with the payment split up? If not, set that up. And then if you have those cranking, then make that continuity site, because that's easy money to get out of your list, where you can say, "What now? I'm going to give you this this starter kit about with real estate." So maybe it's like the high ticket course is about house flipping, and then the Q&A site is about being a landlord, because maybe there's always new issues that come up with renting out homes or renting out apartments or renting out apartment complexes or whatever. And then so you can say, well, I'm going to give you all this training about how to buy and rent out property, and we're going to meet every month. And this is the part that's up to you, is what kind of a software or what kind of a service can you tie into that so they will never ever want to cancel. So I'm Robert Plank from the Robert Plank Show. That was continuity membership sites, how to get that $97 per month passive income site off the ground and making money. And you know what too? It's fine to talk about it, but I want to exactly show you how to set up a membership site from start to finish, from getting the domain, setting it up today, putting up the sales letter, putting up the button, making the members area look all pretty with a dashboard and checklists and drip content and videos and things like that, and getting the traffic in there over and over again. Because what if you just made just 2 sales a day? What would that add up to? Well, I want you to find out by going to membershipcube.com, and that's one of those high ticket membership sites where there's also a payment plan. We also bundle in some of the software and things where I want to give it to you all up front. I want you to make your membership site as fast as possible by going to membershipcube.com and joining right now. I'm Robert Plank from the Robert Plank Show, saying get those 3 membership sites set up as soon as possible. Low ticket, high ticket with payment plan, and the continuity site. I'm Robert Plank from membershipcube.com. Thanks and have a great day.